Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, at whatever time that you're actually watching this. We're recording this in the morning, so it's morning for us. We want to share a video with you today, and Amanda, our wonderful VP of Finance, over the years she's worked here, has been learning to play the ukulele, and then started learning to play the acoustic guitar, and decided that she wanted to get an electric guitar. And this journey of her trying to find the guitar, I thought was so interesting that we wanted to share that experience with you all and create, kind of like a training video for it, but one based on real life. And this process of you deciding that you want to do this, and then she would come into Springfield Music for her weekly lessons and kind of just casually talk with the staff. I remember you'd come into the office and kind of recount, like, as you're debating what to get, and you're like, I really want this one guitar, but everybody recommends these other guitars, like, I'm not sure what to do. And for me, it kind of dawned on me that, like, I don't know that we've ever really talked about or trained or taught how to sell a first electric guitar to an adult beginner, or to an adult buyer who's buying their first electric guitar. We often think about selling someone their first guitar when they're a child or something like that, but we don't think about how to approach it with an adult. And as we listened to Amanda kind of recount her experience, it made me realize, like, this is something that we should do. We should actually, like, be intentional about how we're explaining to you. And as we decided that what we would do is kind of make this like sort of a pseudo mystery shop. It's not a whole big mystery because everybody knew who you were, but you kind of went store by store, and we even went to a few competitors just to see, like, how do people handle this. And the good news is no one's given this much thought, or I shouldn't say no one. Most salespeople or stores, regardless of which store, ever gave this a whole lot of thought. So we're not alone in not thinking of it. But we found some really interesting things. So why don't you just kind of tell us how this all got started?
Yeah, well, like Donovan said, I take lessons here. I'm here every Tuesday. I walk right by this room full of these awesome guitars, and I have an acoustic. I play a Taylor GS Mini. It's great, but it's kind of boring looking. I really wanted some color. I'm a colorful person. I wanted a guitar that was as colorful as I can be, so I was really, really drawn to, it was originally a pink Charvel that, because I loved the color of it. The color was great, the guitar itself was really fun, and that really kept catching my eye. And every Tuesday I was over here and I would get it and I would play it before my lesson, then I'd go into my lesson. And so it actually started, I had a random, time to kill, and I went over to Guitar Center first, and it was tragic. Like, I don't know how they're even a store, guys. I couldn't get anyone to talk to me. They had two people out front smoking, so you had to like walk through the cloud of smoke to get inside the building.
Classy.
Yeah, it was really nice. I was probably in the store for a total of 20 minutes, and like I couldn't wave someone down to help. So that didn't work out well for them at all.
So we beat Guitar Center.
We did.
We're in the bag, people.
So then about a week later, I was like, all right, well, there's one competitor. What would Palin do? And I went in there, and I had a really great experience. And I was like, I wonder if this is the same experience I would get at another store. So I talked to Donovan about it, and I was like, here's the things that they did really, really well. He listened to what I had to say. When I said that I liked a guitar that I know enough about guitars to know that Charvel really isn't for me. I just like the color. But at no point did he ever make me feel like silly when I pointed to a guitar that maybe was not ideal for me. I was able to go through, and at no point during the conversation did I feel like I didn't know anything, because I don't know anything, but don't tell me that, like, let me at least feel like I'm smart. So I had a really great experience there, and so that's what started this whole, we called it Not So Secret Shopping, and I went to each of the locations, and I told people, like, hey, listen, like, it's obviously not secret shopping, I work here, you know who I am, but I truly am buying a guitar, and I want you to help me, like, find the right one. And I told everyone, this is why, this is the guitar I'm looking at in Springfield. I kind of like it, and then I would look on the wall and I'd say, this is what I like. So one of the stores I went to, right off the bat, the first question, everyone did really good with the whole, I think it's called warm chatter, right? What do you play? What kind of music are you into? What do you like? No?
No, it calls it warm chatter.
Yeah, we do.
Warm chatter?
Yeah. It's a naked thing.
Okay,
Oh.
fine.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Oh, I call it berating the customer.
Sure. So everyone did great with the berating the customer.
It's called warm cheddar.
And I would tell them all.
Warm cheddar.
Warm cheddar.
I told everyone the same thing. Like, I'm a beginner. I don't play much. I don't sing, so I like the finger style so you can fit the melody within the chords so that no one has to be punished with my voice. But in theory, one day people will actually recognize what I'm playing and it's not just, chords being strummed over and over. And based on that information, the first store I went to immediately broke out with really technical terms and lost me within a half a second. And so we were talking whether or not we wanted humbuckers, which is not a term I'd ever heard before, and I think at that point it was all over my head, and I left going, I don't really know what I do. I'm honestly, guys, in case you guys didn't know this, I work here and I'm surrounded by guitars all the time, and I'm fairly certain at this point I can tell the difference between a Telly and a Strat, but please don't quiz me. So my guitar
when we turn the camera
knowledge,
off, we'll quiz you.
my guitar knowledge is not exactly up to par with someone who's worked here as long as I have. I know the numbers. I don't really know much.
You haven't
about
worked
the
on the sales
specifics.
floor in your defense.
Right.
It's a little different.
I'm the sales manager and haven't heard the term worm chatter. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here.
So,
This is crazy.
Just a lot of technical talk about the different bridges and talk about the different.
I heard scale lengths at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like really,
Scale length.
with this radius.
It's critical.
Yes.
Critical.
Compound radius neck.
It just lost me as someone who is largely shopping because I wanted something that was colorful. I didn't care much about basically anything else.
Yeah.
So that was experience at one store. And I will say the other thing that was interesting at that one, there was a Gretsch that was actually really interesting looking. And I looked at it and I was told, oh, you don't want that one because it would be really hard to change the strings. And I went, oh, guys, I'm literally never changing my own strings. Not once, ever. There's people for that.
Yeah. We have Alex. Alex will change your strings for you.
But it was an interesting, wasn't something I would have thought about. But also, even if I had really, really liked that guitar, it might have turned me off of it for something that's, I don't think, actually that big of a deal. Because, like I said, we have people. Even if I didn't work here, we have people to change strings.
Yeah.
So I went to another store. And again, a little bit on the technical side, but I'll tell you on this one, the thing that was a little frustrating, I feel like I'm so negative, and I don't mean to be negative, but was a little bit frustrating was that we looked at the wall, and oh my gosh, so many beautiful guitars, and I'm zoning in on a couple that I really, really like, and I tell him I'm really liking the colors, and grabs a guitar off of the wall, and takes it over, and it wasn't a guitar I was interested in. It was nice. It was fine. Just wasn't one that I zoned in on. Wasn't really one I was ever going to buy. And plugs it in, and then is telling me all the technical specs about this guitar that I just wasn't. I was never going to buy. And it was almost like the entire time I'm having to try and figure out how to say no. Please show me that one instead. Can I see that one, please? And it was several minutes of it.
I finally jumped in.
Donovan ended up jumping in.
It was getting, it was just getting a little painful because of how long it was going. And what was fun because I was present for that one, and it was fun to get to watch it as just an observer. And again, I'm not faulting the person who did this because we haven't trained on it. So this is something that people were having to come up with their own solutions, sort of on the fly with. So I get why maybe it wouldn't be the experience wouldn't be that great. But as I was watching him, it made it really clear to me that, first of all, a beginning buyer generally doesn't know many questions to ask. And they also don't want to usually reveal to their lack of knowledge. For a variety of reasons. They don't want to feel stupid, they don't want to feel like they can be taken advantage of, whatever the reason is. And because of that, as a salesperson, when your customer, your prospect, is giving you a lot of just kind of silence, you feel the need to fill the void, and so as a salesperson, you will start going to the thing which often is going to be silly things like how hard it is to change the strings or the specs or something like that. So I think that's a totally normal response. I think the problem is this, though, is that when you get into these situations, you have an adult buyer that's coming to the store, they're likely thinking this process is a 15 to 30 minute process. They're not thinking it's going to be a 2 hour long engagement to buy their first electric guitar. And so if we spend 15 or 20 minutes between warm chatter and then talking about the wrong guitar, we've only got 15 minutes left to find the right guitar, to talk about it and sell it, to sell the add-ons, and to get the customer rang up and out the door, which is not a lot of time, and it's probably going to take longer than 15 minutes, which is then going to make that customer feel like, man, that took 45 minutes to an hour. That was a lot longer. I like the guitar. The guy was nice. But like, it took longer than I thought. They're going to have sort of mixed feelings about it. So that was kind of where I was seeing that one going, and it was clear. I think he could tell there wasn't a love connection, but he sort of felt stuck. Anyway, and the other thing that was interesting too is we uncovered that people had a lot of opinions about guitars, and we know as people that are into guitars and musical instruments, we sort of understand the target market that a lot of this stuff is being like targeted to, but that doesn't mean that you can't play any of these types of guitars for any type of music. You know, never forget that the humbucking pickup and the Les Paul was designed for jazz musicians, by a jazz musician, for jazz musicians. Like, that's what it was designed for, and now it's ubiquitous, of course, in rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and still jazz too. They still use it for that. So you can use literally any guitar, any pickup combination, any fingerboard radius, any of these things for any style of music.
There's no right or wrong. No right or wrong in music.
So let's talk about the person who made the sale.
So Matt in Kansas City.
Matt Gore.
Matt Gore.
Amazing. It was the best experience I had. And here's why. So I went in there, and it was actually the one location of the 4 locations that I didn't walk in and zone in on one guitar. Like, this is the one. I like the way this one looks. There were several that were like, okay, I wasn't 100% like set on what I loved right off the bat. And so he started, asked the same sort of questions. And he started out, and I'm trying to remember what one he went to first, and he's like, he asked me the question. He goes, I think maybe this one would be a good fit. What do you think about it? And I was like, it's not really my color. So he puts it back on the wall, doesn't ever like try and push me into it. And so then it was literally, okay, do you like this guitar? And I was able to say, I don't love the color, but I like the style, or I don't like the style, but I love the color. And so we were able to just basically, using the inventory on the wall, narrow down exactly what I was looking for. And we actually ended up finding a Fender Mustang in, what color was it? It was like a turquoise or a blue that was really pretty, and it was glittery. And he was like, all right, this chick really wants the glitter. Like, he figured that one out pretty quick, that I wanted something showy and flashy and fun. And it was great, and I really liked it, and I wasn't 100% sold, but I probably would have bought the guitar anyway because it was close enough. And then he remembered he had one in pink. So I actually have the guitar now, and I have a Fender Mustang in Penny, and it was because at no point did he tell me, this is the guitar you should buy, here's why you should buy it, here's the things you're going to like about it. There was none of that. It was truly a back and forth. What do you like? What don't you like? Based on those questions, what about this one? It was never a, oh, that's what you like? Perfect. That's your guitar. Let's go up to the front, bring it out. It was, do you like this one? If you don't, what don't you like about it? And then use what was on the wall really almost as a, perfect way to find exactly what my style was. Without ever forcing me and pigeonholing me into a guitar that wasn't for me. Just
right.
He really narrowed down on my style, and
so
got perfect guitar.
Let's kind of talk about then, like, what to do, like how. So we've heard a lot about what's not to do. We heard about the person who won the sale, which was a legit sale.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was an employee sale, so
Sorry, Matt.
not a lot of money we made there. But you get internet points and intranet points for in our company here. So when a customer comes in and they're a first-time buyer, or they're buying, maybe it's a parent buying for their child, but we'll use child kind of in quotes. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're a preteen or a teen. We've had parents come and buy first guitars or first nice guitars for adult children, and that all that kind of happens. Kind of tell us, Mitch, like your thoughts on how you'd recommend salespeople approach that, how they begin.
So first we think about, I think you said, people that come in that are adults don't want to look stupid. They don't want to look like they don't know what they're talking about. And I often use 2 examples. Either, let's say I wanted to get into doing cameras or doing photography, and I go to a photo shop, and I have all these lenses and all these cameras, and I don't know anything about anything. I need someone that can talk to me and ask me the right questions to know what level I'm at, and then be able to succinctly explain like the lay of the land and where I'm going on there. So I often like to do a very, very simple thing is if I talk to somebody, okay, when I get your story, Amanda, what I'll do is I'll break it down and say, well, let me give you a really quick look over what you got. Here's a Stratocaster, here's a Telecaster, here's a Les Paul. Just really a brief thing, and what that does is that establishes me as an authority. I know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going into detail. I'm not going in depth on this is a mahogany body with the this and this. I don't need to go into that because they don't know that and they don't want it. Second thing is, looks are...
And that probably takes, sorry to interrupt you,
good.
but that kind of, here's the three main types of guitars. Right. That's probably under 30 seconds.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you're doing it real quick. You're not talking about the pickups and everything else. You're probably just talking about essentially like the body shape.
And the tone. This is a spanky, the Telecaster. It's a big, spanky, bright guitar. If you think of chicken picking in country music, that's kind of the sound. Here's a Stratocaster. If you want to think about Jimi Hendrix or John Mayer, they play Stratocasters. That's the sound that they get. So it's a really quick thing just to give a frame, but what it really is doing is it's saying, you can trust me because I know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going in depth in anything, and I'm saying things that you can relate to, you understand. Everybody knows who Jimi Hendrix is. Everybody knows who Eric Clapton is. So that little easy thing, okay, people understand, and so now they can trust me. That's what the whole questioning part is. That's building that trust and building that relationship. Let's talk really quick too about color on there, especially if you're starting. We always talk about you don't buy a guitar on its looks. That's absolutely insane. Everybody buys guitars on its looks because if you don't like the way it looks, you won't even pick it up. Mm-hmm. You'll never. So yes, you may be going, oh, it's a beat up old guitar, but that's what you're looking for. You like the look of that. If you hate that look, there's some people that hate distressed guitars. They'll never pick them up. Like new ones that are distressed, but they'll love a real vintage one. So that plays a huge role. So getting an idea of where they're at, and that's the perfect way to approach with an adult is you don't have to get into any sort of detail really, but what looks good to you? Where are you at there? And then it's perfect with that. Then you start to dive into it, and then you can along the way say, this is a great guitar because it does this, or you can get this sound out of it, or you can just dial it that way. But you've got to, depending on the depth and level of the customer's knowledge, that's where you go from. You don't go in depth really tight. You can think of it almost as a step-up band and orchestra sale. You're selling to the parent. You're not selling to the kid. Let the kid play what they want, but the parent doesn't need details. You establish, hey, this is a wooden clarinet. It plays better. It has silver keys. Fine, this guy knows what he's talking about. Now let's talk about how payments work. Let's talk about how our program works, because that's what you're selling. You're selling the plan. The instrument is for the kid. You're dealing with the adult. I think that applies.
I mean, I think salesmanship, regardless of what you're selling, is a lot easier if you're selling an item the customer wants to buy, right? And so I think if you can bring a customer in and give them that sort of quick overview on, in this case, we're talking about electric guitar types or body styles, and then quickly let them sort of like, all right, we find the most important thing is that you get a guitar that you love the way it looks, because if you love the way it looks, you're going to want to pick it up and play it more often. That's the most important thing. So in our experience, most customers, if they come in and look for a minute, they'll find there's a few types of guitars that usually just start to reach out to them that they love, and there's also usually a few that they don't like the way they look. So take a look and tell me which one just grabs you, and also which ones that you want to run away from. And I think getting that information can help so much. And then find out specifically, so what is it about this guitar that you love? Yeah. Oh, I love the glitter, or I love the color, or I love that it's distressed, or I love the gold hardware, whatever it is. What is it about this guitar, the one that you said you don't like, that you don't like? I don't like the weird angles and lines on it. I don't like the wood color, to me is kind of ugly. Whatever it is. And now you can take that information and start zoning in on the exact guitar they want. Don't be worried that they pick out a guitar that might be not in their price range. You can almost always find the guitar that they want and the type of finish or whatever in the price range they get. You may have to get it from the store, may have to possibly order something in, but we can always get them the guitar that they want. That's not going to really be the biggest concern. And sometimes if someone, gets kind of really enamored with the guitar that they want, they'll end up spending more than they had originally planned. Amanda wasn't planning on spending as much as what she ended up deciding being comfortable with. But by the time she got what she really wanted, it was, a little bit more. And that was okay. The budget wasn't your primary restriction. And most people don't think, I want a guitar and it has to be under $300. No. They just want to get this first guitar, and they want it to be a good one, and they want it to be something that sparks this lifelong love of playing music, and they have all these other goals. The money is not the part that they're most focused on. So
I often use it when I talk to adults too, and I will encourage an adult and tell them upright, you may spend more than you thought, but you adults appreciate the quality. When you're 16 years old and you first get in that car and that door shuts, is a whole different thing when you're 30 and you get in that BMW and that door goes chunk. You're like, oh, that's what quality is. I remember getting in my first quality car and went, oh, I've been driving tin cans around all this time.
Yeah.
It sure is nice to be a grown man now. You just appreciate it more. You're willing to spend more because you recognize inherently that the value that you get is better.
Yeah.
And so don't shop out of your own pocket by any means, because really, sky's the limit to a certain extent.
Yeah.
If you've been here long enough, you've had that guy that bought his first acoustic guitar that was $6,000. I mean, that it just happens from time to time because they can, and so why not get the best? Why not get the quality? So don't feel like there's a budget that needs to be stuck to. Absolutely, let them roam and find out what they like.
Yeah. I think that's the point. Find out what they like, and then you at that point, all you're doing is reinforcing those choices. And it also takes a lot of the pressure off of you, because I could tell in the one mystery shop that I saw, I could tell the employee is very conflicted about, like, well, I know that she's a woman, like, should I assume that she wants? Yeah, he's very, very perceptive.
We hire the best.
Should I assume that she wants, like, girl colors and glitter, or is that like am I assuming too much? And the era we're in right now, that's the thing. I can understand being really concerned about it. But when the customer tells you, like, yeah, I like glitter and pink and stuff like that, then like, you're good to go at that point, And so it gives you the information you need to make those recommendations and to sell. So the other side of that, then, if the more quickly you can get to making that sale, when it's clear that we have a love connection and that this customer is making this purchase, you can now then move on to the add-on.
Yeah.
Like that sale is done. Don't sit there and just let that last forever. That time where that customer has made that decision, even if they haven't totally verbalized it yet, that's the time to start showing the complementing products to go with it, the amplifiers to go with it, straps to go with it, stands to go with it, whatever things that we're selling that go with it. Start showing that stuff, because that's your best time to actually sell it. So you should show us your guitar before we wrap this thing up.
Sure.
So we want to find the one that actually won. So
this is a Fender Mustang in
Yeah.
Annie, which in my eyes is pink and rose gold, and was really what I was looking for.
And
Yeah.
sparkly.
And sparkly.
And look at the strap. I like that. The peacock
Yeah, I got
strap.
that from here. I got the peacock strap.
But what was so great about it is, this whole journey of looking through all these different guitars, through all these different stores, and then you finally find this guitar, and then we reach out to Fender for their employee accommodation program, which turns out they don't have anymore.
Yeah.
Which we didn't know. But they also didn't have this guitar anymore. And so Amanda's immediately scrambling to then don't sell this guitar. Like, I finally found the one I love. I don't want someone else to buy it.
I don't know if you can see, but Amanda's fingernails match her guitar.
They do. They do. They're the same color.
I think that was it.
Anyway, so this video is a little long, but it's a really good topic. And I think it's one that you can use these concepts not just with that first-time buyer. Like, you can use this for other buyers. And we always have customers who, I have an acoustic guitar, but now I want to get an electric. Well, that's this customer. I have an electric, now I want to get an acoustic. I'm thinking about getting a bass because I already play guitar, but I like to learn to play bass.
Yeah.
Or, I play guitar, but I want to get a set of drums for my home music room. Or all this kind of stuff happens all the time. And you can use the same approach. Let the customers tell you what they're interested in, and then you go sell to that. And that way, you're not spending so much of your time selling something that a customer doesn't want.
Yeah.
So, cool. All right, if you have thoughts or questions, post them below or let us know. But I think hopefully this will be really useful and enjoyable for you and help you to close more sales. See you, everybody.
See you.